I want to say that all of our spiritual traditions, for the most part, are allegory. The stories that the Hebrews bring forth are allegory. The stories that everyone brings forth are allegory. But one of the reasons why I think that you are not understanding my answer is because you are not familiar with the manner in which these stories, these books were created. If you look at the 3rd century in the Common Era, if you look at 300 AD, 300 CE, you will see great arguments, great debates among religious people that were in the Judaic and Christian houses trying to say, what do these stories mean? Does Mary actually go into heaven? What happens to Mary? Who is she? So what you have to understand is it was that period when things became literal. If you look at the stories, you need to read the story of Justin Martyr. Look at the stories of, Justin Martyr? You need to read the history of there are many of the early church, you have to look at many of the early Christian fathers. That's what they're usually called, right? They actually think that these stories are literal stories. But if you know the history, you can look at the dialogue that people are having, where they're actually saying, how could this be literal when our story is the same? And Justin Martyr actually says, and this part is really amazing, he says, well, I know your story. He's talking to the sons of Saturn in this letter. He says, I know your story is the same as our story of Jesus, but how do we know that our story is real? He actually believed that the devil, that Satan, knew that Jesus was coming and went before Jesus and planted stories that were very similar so that when Jesus came, you wouldn't believe him. He believed that the devil had a time machine is what he's basically saying. This is the problem we have with literalism, and the literalism comes to the tomhole.
Okay, now what I'm going to say, right? Okay, I'm going to help y'all out. I'm going to help y'all to be able to teach. And this is what I mean. What I will say first when he talks about Christ, when he's not literal and comparing Jesus Christ to other stories. See, those big fancy words don't work on Brother Quami. See, Jabari or Reggie or Brother Polite or Shaka Amos, those guys, they are so called to be conscious. Well, like I told you about the video I did about the Brother Young Pharaoh. Brother Quami is spiritual conscious. Spiritual conscious overrides worldly conscious. See, y'all brothers are conscious for the world. I'm spiritual conscious for the King Jesus. I get my knowledge from Christ. So the big words that you guys are using, you have to come harder than that. Because what's about to happen is the Brother Quami is about to crush and wreck your whole doctrine right now. Okay, now what you said about Christ when you said it wasn't literal and comparing it to other stories. Yo, don't no other story match up to Christ's story. And your thought process for this comes from the people who lived outside of the Bible. They the ones that made that comparison. Take Jesus and Horus, they try to make that a comparison. You take Jesus and Mary and God and make that a comparison. You cannot substantiate that in the Bible, and I would chew anybody up. And I heard Jabari say that we get that story there, and Brother Quami is here to tell you that that is a total fabrication. And I'm telling you, I will cut that to piss. Now I'm going to repeat my statement. The reason for the issue I have with Reggie and Jabari, if Anubis was a principle and not real back then, and I'm not taking away that he was a principle, I'm actually giving you that he was a principle. And when I say he's not real, meaning, let me explain first and I'm going to tell you what I mean. But what does Brother Quami actually believe is that he's not real, meaning mumbo jumbo, he's not real. In other words, that Anubis is garbage. That is what I believe. Anubis is garbage to me. It is bull. Like they try to say that the Bible is bull. Anubis is bull. But y'all saying it is real. So my thing is, they resurrect temples and mummified dolls to it. Now they follow a specific procedure to this principle. Now you have to prove to me that it's spiritual. And I'm not talking about in a negative connotation spiritual. I'm talking about as in a spiritual sense, that what we represent, since y'all say that we copy, and the Jesus story has the same comparisons as the Horus story. So now you gotta prove to me that it's the same spiritual representation that we have. You will have to prove that that's spiritual, Anubis. Now what you're doing is telling people that it's spiritual, but you will have to prove what type of spiritual is it. Because y'all have black people's minds filled up with all type of mysticisms. Now you take Islam for example. You know, Islam, they have that thing in Mecca, and they say it's a meteor. They say it's a meteor that fell from the sky. Now here is the proof that they worship and believe it, and here is what I'm explaining. Now, in order to be a true Muslim, you have to make what is called a Hajj. You have to go over to that rock and you have to circle it 7 times. So there's a procedure that comes along with that. Now, if you ask any Muslim, they believe that mess. So with you Kemetic people telling me that Anubis is real, in a sense of not just a principle, but that you was dying and to meet him, that is why they did it in a specific manner. That's why they mummified the dogs, because it was a dog. That's right, they believe that that was a dog. Otherwise, why give it a dog head? Unless you telling me who taught them that the dog is the one who can sniff your spirit. And what mind boggles me the most is that this myth is childlike. Like the Kemetic science, I won't deny that Kemet had intelligence. And we all know, according to the Jesus Christ doctrine that I teach, that Satan had plenty of intelligence. But this is not about whether Kemet was smart. Nobody can take away Kemet's greatness. But the thing is, this is not about taking away the Kemet's greatness. But this is about pointing out, like, did they explain creation? They explained the spirits the best way they could, but it's all man-made. You will have to prove to me that it's spiritual in a positive connotation. And when I say positive connotation, I mean the connotation from the Jesus doctrine that's not evil. Can you prove that to me? Because Jabari and Reggie, they teach that the Kemetic science is all spirituality. But what type of spirituality? Is it the same spirituality from our Jesus story, which is real? And now I give you an example. I'm about to prove my God to be true, the Most High Yahweh to be true. My God says in the book of Deuteronomy, which y'all say is not real, y'all quit to tell us that Abraham didn't exist, Moses didn't exist, Joseph didn't exist, and that we wasn't in Egypt. That is what y'all say about us. Now, y'all be saying that they didn't exist, right? Here is how you can prove if a God is real or if a God is not. And people, I want you to realize what I'm talking about. What we're talking about is things that happened over 1,000 years ago. Thousands of years ago. Kemet is thousands of years ago, and this Bible is thousands of years ago. Hold on, let me say this. Y'all netters, y'all guys are bull. It's a bunch of bull baloney. That's what I'm saying. Y'all Kemetic gods, I don't care what you call them, they are all garbage. I'm saying my God is the real one. So now I'm going to prove it. Now, our God, Moses, he delivered a message to the children of Israel as to what would befall them if they betrayed that God, the Most High. And you can find that in the book of Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter. Now, that's also written thousands of years ago. So my question is, why does that fit us today? Why what's written over thousands of years ago describes us to this day? Only us. We are the only people on the face of the planet living in a country having no identity, no freedom, no salvation, last hired, first fired. And that was given to us at the end of the book of Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter, specifically the 68th verse. It said that we would go into bondage and no man would free us, or no man would buy us, meaning the old Quaker English words, meaning to redeem us. That is what our God, the Most High Yahweh, told our prophet. Now, if I want to make an argument for that God to be real, I could use that. Y'all can't use nothing. Y'all cannot use nothing from ancient Kemetic writings to prove that it's real. That's why y'all would rather say that it's mythos, because you can't prove it. That's simple. It's just that simple. You can't prove it. Reggie, you next.